Alright guys, welcome back to Adventures of XYZ. This time is just me and Raheem though, because this is kind of like the guys chat version of the girls chat, but we realized guys chat is not really much of a thing.
Yeah.
So we asked the girls to ask us some questions that they don't normally ask guys, and we're going to answer them. If you're interested in this kind of content, come along with us. What happens when high school lovebirds get married?
They move to a new city and start a YouTube channel, of course.
Welcome to Adventures of XYZ. I'm Xaundre.
And I'm Zara.
I'm a doctor.
And I'm a lawyer.
But we both just really love sharing our faith and going on cool adventures.
So we created this channel to share our journey as we attempt to use biblical principles to navigate life.
And have a whole lot of fun doing it.
So, come along with us.
So guys, we've never seen these questions before. Don't know them. Zara
I'm the producer, guys. I'm the producer.
She's over there. But she says guys chat, so she's not showing her face. But she's going to ask us the questions and we're going to answer them, or at least attempt to.
First question: is more makeup, less makeup, or no makeup better?
All right, you can take that.
Well, to be honest, my preference is less to no makeup.
Same.
I prefer the more natural look.
I like
I understand like the enhancement,
yeah.
you know? But I don't want it. My preference is not for it to look like unnatural.
Same. If you're going to use makeup, which I'm not inherently opposed to, but if you're going to use makeup, it shouldn't be to make you look like different. It should just enhance what's already there. I prefer a natural look that just looks a little enhanced.
Will you judge me based on my past, or will you see me as a different person from my past?
That depends. If the past is all I know, because your past has now come into the present, then I'll just have to use what is in front of me, which is the past that has become present. But let's say that you have undergone a radical change in your life,
yeah.
and your current fruit now show that, you know, you're very different from your past, then I wouldn't hold your past against you. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I agree. In other words, it depends on how you relate to your past. If you allow your past to define you, or if you try to redefine it by moving along into the future.
Yeah.
Good answer, good answer. Why are guys scared to make the first move?
Are all guys scared to make the first move?
Are we really scared? I don't know that we're
I think
scared.
that's the stereotype for guys to make the first move. Some guys might be.
I suppose there are some guys who are actually afraid to make the first move, but for those of us who are very conscientious, we actually refrain from making a real, like, obvious move unless we're certain that we want to attach that to our friendship. Like, we want to attempt to cross that line, because it's kind of hard to go back after you kind of mess up that friendship. So if as a guy, you know, I really love you as my friend, but I'm feeling like, you know, maybe this could go a little further, but I'm really not sure. I'm going to be apprehensive to step forward, because I don't want to mess up the friendship, you know, realize that we can't really work out as a thing, and then all of a sudden we're not friends again. So a lot of guys are reluctant for that reason, at least in my estimation.
And I think sometimes as guys we can be a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not nonchalant, but oblivious. That's the term, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So sometimes you have no idea at all that the girl might be interested in you, and so you don't even know how to respond or how to relate to her, kind of thing.
So how you feel about like this willful oblivion? Like you know, say maybe there is something, but you just don't want to. You not even want to go ruffle up any feathers. You don't want to go stir up the antsness. You don't want to go ask about it. You don't want to put yourself in a position for her to make it clear, because you feel like it might actually just make things awkward. At least I've been there a couple of times. So.
Yeah, I know that. Sometimes that saves you from the awkward situations.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing we can tell you, most guys don't like awkward situations. We will do whatever it takes to stay out of awkward situations.
In choosing a partner, would you choose looks or physical appearance over a Christian godly character? Be honest.
No.
Looks or physical appearance over
a godly character.
That's what tipped it.
Right.
It said over.
Right.
It said choosing looks or physical appearance over a godly character.
Right.
So that's why it gets a hard no.
Right.
But the truth is, I would never, it don't matter how spiritual you are, if I'm not physically attracted to you and I don't think you're cute, it just not gonna work.
Yeah, and I think as guys, our first mode of attraction is the physical.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're definitely attracted. That's very important. You're attracted to the physical aspect of the person. But then there comes a time when you have to look beyond the physical and think, is this somebody I can live with, essentially?
Yeah, because looking at her and living with her is two different things.
Yeah, is this somebody who really loves God? You know? So, yeah.
Does your choice of friends matter to your faith?
That's a really good question. Does your choice of friends matter to your faith? I'd say yes or no. Yes, in the sense that birds of a feather flock together. So the type of thing where show me your friends and I tell you who you are. In other words, it's really a question of who is the influencer and who is the influence. The reality is that the more time you spend with persons, it's easier for you to be influenced by them. But also, there's a statement where this author basically says, this inspired author says that Christianity is spread through the social relations. So you can't really lead somebody closer to God without being their friend.
Yeah.
But the question is, are you influencing them or are you being influenced by them? We'd want to influence them for good.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to the objective of the friendship.
Yeah.
Because not all friendships serve the same purpose. The truth is, I have a lot of friends from work. Me and them will laugh and chat, we sit down. But if my life is in crisis, unless it's a medical crisis, then they're just not the ones I'm going to go to. And it's not that I don't love them, but we just don't really move on that level.
Right.
And I mean, it would kind of be unreasonable to say I won't have any work friends if they're not Seventh-day Adventists or if they're not Christians. Like, personally, I don't think that makes any sense. But at the same time, you know, when life comes crumbling down, I'm going to go to my really strong spiritual friends who are going to help me with, you know, spiritual matters. So I think you can have both sets of friends, but you need to understand the objectives and how you interact with those friendships.
Not a question, but tell Raheem to start a channel. I love to listen when he's doing Bible study.
Well, thank you for that.
Bible study with Raheem.
Stay tuned. All right. What are some things that a Christian lady could do that would be an instant turn off
Okay.
and an instant turn on? So, what would make you want to pursue her, and what would make you not want to pursue her?
Wow. All right. What would make me not want to pursue her?
Man, start with it not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably easier.
Yeah.
That's probably easier.
One of the things that would make me not want to pursue her is if she's the type of person that acts very godly, but then with how she relates to her friends and other people, she doesn't tend to treat them well. So if it's somebody who seems to be super spiritual, but actually is not kind to people, don't speak well to people, is rude or condescending, that's usually a big turn off for me. Something that would be a turn on would be the better version of that, or the opposite of that. Essentially, somebody who is not just super spiritual when you go to church, but even in how they relate to other people, is somebody who is caring, somebody who is kind, somebody who is modest and laughs at my jokes. That's it.
If you know anything about Raheem, when he laughs, everybody else have to laugh because his whole body laughs.
Yeah, but the last of my jokes is so serious. But you know what I mean, guys. Yeah, essentially somebody who is really genuine in how they show love to other persons, self-sacrificing type of thing. I think that's a big turn on.
By the way, for the record, guys, Raheem is already married. Not because him go and leave the ring. Him don't wear a ring.
Yeah,
Because him
but I
don't
have
wear a
one.
ring. Him don't wear it all the time. But
Yeah.
he's already married.
Just in case you never knew, okay? Period. All right. Do you think Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate are good influences to the upcoming men?
I don't know them.
With Kevin Tate and Andrew.
Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder if Andrew Tate, they were going to say Prince Andrew. From royal family. One of Queen Elizabeth's son. I don't know them, so it's hard for me to answer that
Sorry,
one.
guys.
But maybe we can check them up sometime.
I don't want to.
We don't want to check them.
Okay, alright.
Never mind, no.
No, but I purposely asked that question for sure. So we know don't know about social media. Like, we're so clueless. It's funny.
Sorry, guys. Can't help you with that one.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Use the what you call it? The prescription of the fruit of the spirit to identify if they're good people to follow.
Galatians 5.
There we go.
22 to 25.
There we go. There's a big issue in society trying to stifle masculinity. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a deep one, but
Yeah, man, that's
go on.
deep.
You're bright. You can't.
Yeah, though. All right, let me say that historically, you realize that many times women were treated unfairly. In some cases, women were treated almost as if they were property, as if they didn't have a voice in society. Many times, especially in ancient times, biblical times, women depended on men for their very sustenance.
Yeah.
In other words, if a lady had no living husband or son, there'd be nobody to work and provide money for her, and essentially she'd instantly be in poverty. First of all, let me start by saying that I believe that that's definitely not according to God's plan for women to have been treated that way in the first place. And I'm all for the development in history where we had women's rights and women having access to equal education, having access to the right to vote, and their personal freedoms. I'm all for that. With that said, though, in my personal opinion, in the feminist movement, perhaps in the last 200 years or so, I think the pendulum has.
He would know.
I think the pendulum has swung to the other extreme. So I perhaps in some respects it started out of having equal rights and so on. But I feel like there are some radical factions where it's almost as if they want to undermine the role of men. I don't believe that in order to show the full glory of women, you necessarily need to undermine the role of a man. So in order to laud femininity, I don't think you have to push down masculinity. I think both of them have their proper place.
Yeah.
I think historically that type of pendulum swinging to the other extreme with the whole feminist movement has had a lot to do with masculinity being undermined in some instances. Perhaps, definitely there are other factors as well.
And it's interesting because even though you give such a balanced and politically correct response, some people going to still come in the comments and say something like, oh, so Raheem believes that women should be the sole breadwinner. I don't know, something. But the point is, even though, that is our stance, because I agree, even though that is our stance, you still have to look at each individual situation on its own merit.
Yeah, that's true.
So, for example, within a household, do we believe that gender roles still exist? Largely they do, but does that give the man right to have the woman in economic bondage? No. And does that mean that the woman is not supposed to work if she wants to work? No. Does that mean that the man is not supposed to wash the dishes? Obviously not, because enough dish we wash in the 1 year we're married.
True. Very true.
Enough dish we wash. So even though we're suggesting that the pendulum has gone the other direction, we're not saying to stick to what people call toxic masculinity,
right,
or a misogynistic setting, but we are saying that if you try to level the playing field, not in the sense that we are equal parts and we are trying to treat women equally, but you say that we all have the same roles and responsibilities, and that we're not necessarily accountable for different things, and that we can't split roles in the house, then that's where you start to muddy the water.
That's a different issue.
So exactly. So you really have to see it on an individual issue kind of basis.
I think that's a very important point, because equality, some person might think that roles and responsibilities being different
mean that one is not necessarily equal to the other. Exactly.
But that's not the case. Biblically, the Bible says that God made them male and female, right?
Yeah.
And I think the point is that we complement each other. Men and women complement each other in the qualities that we're naturally endowed with.
That's the point. You just say it much more better. Much more better. Is that even English? You just say it a lot more sensibly than I did.
Right.
We're equal but complementary.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Is marriage overrated?
Is marriage overrated?
No.
Yeah, I think it's underrated.
Oh.
Hey!
Oh. From a man who's been married all of 6 months?
Yeah, man, I think it's very underrated.
Hey, we have a friend who get married recently.
Trust me.
And best believe, 2 days in, he goes, I can't believe these people say this thing is overrated. It's definitely worth it. Anyway, come, next question.
Do you like when a lady makes the first move?
All right. So if we can think back to our dating days,
Yeah.
I personally would like if a girl would give hints. You know, don't just assume that I know that you like me, but don't be too forward with it. And
That's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah. But as a matter of fact, now that I think back, I actually answered this question in part one of this. So you go ahead and answer this. You guys can check part one for my answer.
No man, I completely agree with what you're saying, bro, because like there's a way to do it, right?
There's a way
you don't want it to just be so forward that it loses all finesse and class.
Yeah.
You want it to be have the finesse, you want it to be classy, you want it to be elegant.
Yeah, you want it to come across as like she passes and flick her hair and you get a little hint. You don't want her to come up to you and say, hey, listen to this. I like you. You better like me back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, or more, you know more.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh, okay, all right. Well, hold on. Like, what's that? That's a little strong.
Yeah. It'd be great if she drops the hint.
Yeah.
Like she drops it knowing that you're gonna catch it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not too straightforward.
Yeah.
You know.
So for example, I could say, you're in class together, for example, and the teacher says, choose a partner. If you're the girl and you like the guy, you walk from the other side of the class, you come to me and you say, would you like to be my partner? First of all, I'm going to find it weird that you walked from all the way on the other side of the class to come ask me if I'd like to be a partner. But then it doesn't make things awkward. I'm just going to say yes, and then I'll start now to think about it. And tonight when we go, I'm going to start it. But when you come sit down beside me, don't start asking me all of a sudden what I like in girls and if I like you. And no, man, I could just do the classwork. And you can say that the seed would have been planted. I would have gotten the hint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although some girls going to say guys can't pick up hints, but a lot of times we can. We just choose not to. Because it makes things awkward.
Selective oblivious nature.
Selectively oblivious, exactly. And then sometimes we really just don't pick it up for true.
No, that is true.
Yeah, sometimes we really just don't pick it up. So just drop them.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes girls think that we have the intuition they have.
Yeah. We
So
do.
like some of the body language and so they think we must pick up on and
Yeah.
we don't see none of this up there.
Do Christian men always think about or want the Jerusalem?
Mercy. Mercy. If you don't want it, something is wrong.
Yeah. If you don't want the Jerusalem, within the context that God
Of
say you
marriage,
must get
yeah,
it,
yeah.
then boy, I would really ask you to reconsider what is going on with your biology, because maybe something is off. Unless you did like what I did back in the day and I prayed for God to, what did somebody say? Spiritually castrate me. Spiritually castrate me. But to kind of,
Like a chronic Christian joke?
Yeah, it is.
Eunuch.
yeah, kind of like a eunuch.
Not worse, guys.
Not an Enoch, a eunuch are two different things. just so we're clear. Enoch and eunuch are two different things. Anyway, basically, to kind of dampen the drive then. But yeah, it's built into our nature for us to, and I probably wouldn't say always, because technically your mind has to be occupied doing other things at some point.
Right.
But it's certainly a lingering desire.
Right.
And if you follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you'll find it right down there at the base of the pyramid is one of our, most innate drives. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I am sorry for this one, lol. But thoughts on anal sex?
Wow.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
All right. I don't know if you want to pick up, if you want to start it. I'll give you if you want to. If not, I can. But if you want to, go ahead.
One wise man once said, you cannot enter through an exit.
And if there's one place in the body that is clearly marked exit, do not enter. First of all, guys, it is unhealthy.
Yeah, that's the part. That's probably the best place to start.
It is so unhealthy. The rectum is filled with such gross things. You do not want to be putting anything that is supposed to be sterile or anywhere close to sterile into a rectal vault. It's just a bad idea.
So it's a no from me.
So it's a no from me. It's a hard no from me. And the Bible maybe not going to explicitly say thou shalt not have anal sex.
But it implies
But it is implied
Right.
based on it being unhealthful.
Right.
Based on it being biologically, in my estimation, precluded because the anal sphincter just does not naturally allow for it. And people who have anal sex will tell you that it takes long for them to, back off of the lube.
Last question. Is it okay to be friends with your ex, especially if it was a previously sexual relationship? Should there be a friendship?
That one sounds like it's a counseling kind of question. I'm not a trained counselor.
All right, let me start off by saying that that I believe there should be a boundary, right? And that boundary should be to not return to those sexual activities, because sometimes we say that we're friends with our exes, and then what was tends to happen again. So in other words, sometimes you say that you're not going back there in terms of the sexual relationship, but then because you're friends, sometimes you end up in situations that tend to lead to the same thing happening over again. So I just want to start off by saying I think there should be a boundary, but I do not think that the how you relate to your ex should be hostile. Let me say that. Sometimes because we don't date or court very well, we end up having a string of exes, and how we relate to all of them is hostile.
It's hostile. The serial monogamy that ends up being toxic, especially if sex was included. As a matter of fact, I think what makes this question so nuanced and almost clearly problematic,
right,
is because it is set in a context where you were sexually active with somebody with whom you weren't married. And on so many levels, you're setting up yourself for failure. And I'm not saying that, if you were in that situation, are regretful or remorseful of it. You consider it having been, just a low moment in your life, and you've repented and you want to move on, that you should necessarily let it hold you back. And I'm not trying to, throw shame on anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you have the option to choose whether or not to enter that, I'd advise against it. If that was your unfortunate situation, then there's grace. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So as it pertains to being their friend now, that part, I think it also depends on, a part of it is the note on which the relationship ended as well. Because, all right, let's start with this.
A long time you start though, bro.
Yeah, man, because it's a nuance, So especially if you would have felt hurt, which tends to happen with breakups, it's important to forgive, right? But as we spoke about boundaries before, because you forgive somebody does not mean that you put up zero boundaries. You can forgive, set boundaries, and be in a non-hostile situation.
Yeah.
Now, as it pertains to friendship, I guess that depends on you as to how far that friendship will go and the nature of that friendship. But as long as the boundaries are well set up and it's non-hostile, then I don't think there's anything wrong with friendship being there. But if it's not your genuine interest in being friends, there's nothing wrong with that either.
All right, guys. So that's all from us for now. But if you have more questions, drop them in the comments down below. Send us a DM on Instagram at Adventures of XYZ. But we'll see you next time on Adventures of XYZ. Bye, guys.
Take care.